Rayron Gracie. Who am I? I'm a grandson, most important, of my loving grandma, and Jiu-Jitsu fighter. That's it. Normal day. Come here, talk to Maggie, have good friends, see? Training, I wake up there, train.
I mean, training is really good here in London. I'm thinking about spending some more time here. You know, Roger is amazing, the facility is amazing, you know, everybody's great. So I'm thinking about training more here. And I mean, it's been really good. Last Europeans I lost, I mean, it happens. And I'm just trying to keep my mind, you know, at the next tournament and have that mindset that, you know, what truly matters is the black belt. Sometimes if you get too caught up on whatever is happening today, then, you know, you might maybe get too excited or maybe too sad, right? I like to have some of my attention, not in the future because we don't know what's gonna happen, but, you know, like a long term, you know.
Of course, I think that the way to simplify it the most is by doing everything that it's in your capability, that you can prepare. You know? Some people say, oh, I do this 2 months before, I do this 1 month before. I work out, I eat better, I do whatever. I think that the best way to summarize it is to do what's in your best capabilities of doing, you know? Because everybody knows what's good for them. What not to eat, what not to do, what you do, what you do, what you eat. And then to take those decisions. I think that's the simplest way to say. I try to get ready for myself, but it's important for you to. I don't like to focus in one person. Otherwise, you become like stalling and you fight for them, not for you. But it's very important to, know what you might fight, to prepare for what might be out there. Like today I lost to a guy who did judo, I believe, and there's something for me to focus on judo, you know. So I mean, I didn't know I was gonna fight him, and I wouldn't have changed anything. But I believe that it's important for you to know what you might face, not seeing the person, but in every aspect of jiu-jitsu. Yeah, I think the best way to work on your mental health, I think it's competing. I think that's a very good way. Because sometimes you don't train as good, sometimes you train really well, but you lose. Sometimes you doesn't train as good and you win. So I think that if you face that fear of stepping on the mat, that's the best way you can control your mind. Or for me, that's the best way.
Face it and go for it.
Yeah. I think it's facing them. I think that's the best way to overcome. Because sometimes you talk about them, sometimes but when you do it, I think it kind of goes away.
Do you remember the last time you had a massive fear and you had to overcome it?
A massive fear?
Like something that made you fear?
The recent times, no, but I remember when I was very young, and I was very afraid of the dark. Very afraid. Extremely afraid. And I remember when I went down the stairs, like completely dark. I know it doesn't sound like anything, but you're a kid. And I remember panicking. My heart was racing. And I went down in my grandma's house. And I was young, I went there, boom, got what I wanted. It was probably some food, for sure. I was chubbier then. But, and then I came up, and every time after that day, it gets easier. But in my opinion, you have to face it, whatever it is. If it's the dark or fighting or whatever it is, talking to someone, whatever.
About my father was that, I didn't spend that much time with him. I was only 6 years as a kid. But I spent even more hearing the stories from him, and not even once I heard that he had a glimpse of fear, So that for me is something that really sticks out, that there's no fear in him. And that's also a good thing and a bad thing, right? You have to compensate sometimes, but he wasn't afraid of facing anybody, and that's something that I think it's very important to carry. Regardless if you feel prepared or not, having that feeling that you can go on, put your gi on and whatever and face anybody, I think it's a very, very powerful feeling. I mean, it's very cliche to say, but it's one of the few things, I'd say for me, it's the only one that I have found, which is very easy on the body, right? If you compare it to other martial arts, you know, like wrestling and judo, there's a lot of impact, and you can't do it until you get to a certain age, right? But jiu-jitsu can, right? So just the physical aspect of it already, you know, makes a huge difference and puts it on another level for your physical benefits. But then for the mind, you know, when you combine both of them, it's the best martial art there is, because it's something that you're completely there, right? I have gone through some hard times, and whenever I'm training, I'm just completely focused on the training itself, on the grips that I'm making, and whenever my partner is trying to do, you know, I forget where I am. So it's an amazing feeling, and to be able to feel that, right? Knowing that your body's also safe and you can train there for many years, I mean, it's priceless, right? It's the best invention for the mankind. I'm a bit biased, but it's the best invention of mankind, you know. So it's I mean, it's incredible, you know. There's the mental benefits outweighs the physical ones by far, for sure. My dad, I mean, was very had a lot of presence, right? So, you know, sometimes I feel that there would be a person missing in my development, right? And of course there is, but I try to spend as much time as I can with my family, with Roger, with, you know, Gregor, Igor, Hanzo, Half, a lot. So it's not that I don't feel him missing, but, you know, I take the best out of everybody, and I try to make myself better.
No, I feel like they're pushing me forward, up, you know. Everybody says what you just said, it's very common. And like weight on my shoulders, I think it's the opposite. I think they're pushing me up, you know. So it feels really good. I feel very supported by all of them. And I have Renan, he's a Pé de Pano's son, he's in New York. Enzo. So, you know, not just my blood family, but my friends, my family as well. They're all there supporting me, and as we support them. So I think it's a very good environment. I don't feel any, I mean, of course you should feel discomfort, but not discomfort towards them or from them at all. I feel really good about training with them.
What is in your jiu-jitsu, in your game? What is the most related thing to your family? Like in the sense of how you fight, or even your game?
My family?
Yeah, and to your father especially, obviously.
Yeah, that's a good one. I would say, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm there yet, but the technique, right? You see them, I mean, most of the Gracies, they're not very strong, physically strong, but they you know, they're always able to prevail and win against much stronger opponents. So I would say that my goal, at least, is to you know, be as much technical as I can possibly be, you know. And of course, strength is good to have, but you see Roger, for example, you know, I'm not gonna call him as weak, but he's not strong at all. He's not a very strong person for his size. So I'd say the technique, you know, the how do you say, how perfect the technique should be, you know.
Yeah, I look up a lot to Roger. Roger is an exceptional fighter, I think, but most important, an exceptional person. He is a great person. I have never seen him talk bad about someone else, or, you know, he does celebrate, but it's nothing fancy, you know. I never seen him curse or anything like that. I never seen him upset too much in defeats, neither too happy in victory. So I think he's a very good example for me to look up to. Among other, Hanzo, everybody else in my family.
Roger doesn't talk much, but I'll begin with Hanzo. I mean, the biggest piece, I mean, Hanzo has some amazing advices, has amazing quotes, has, you know, endless. I can stay here for hours talking about, you know, his lessons. But one thing that I remember, it's a funny story, but when I was one of my first tournaments, I was kind of nervous, right? And I called him, and I called him. No, I was in the car with him, and I was telling him, right, I'm going to compete, blah blah blah. And was one of my first tournaments, right? And I asked him, Renzo, you know, what should I do? I'm kind of nervous. And he said, look, even if you get beaten, right? That's his exact words. Go so hard that the guy pisses himself, right? So what he meant to say, right? What I got from it was that you have to, you know, even when everything is lost, you give your 100%, right? So even when there's no hope of winning, right, you're going 100%. You're giving everything you got. And if the guy is gonna beat you, he's not gonna have an easy time. So after he said that, you know, he almost took some pressure off my shoulders in the sense of, okay, whatever happens, happens, but, you know, regardless, the guy's not gonna have an easy time. So that was the biggest piece of advice from Renzo, make the guy piss himself. And from Roger, I mean, Roger, of course, same thing as Renzo, but I would say I have learned more from Roger, watching him, you know, go through his maybe training, through his fighting for sure, right? He's a very cold demeanor. There's no, you know, almost like a robot, you know, there's no emotion almost, right? You can't really see. And that's for me a very good thing, because whenever you get too excited in a match, right, your emotion goes really high. And then, you know, if that doesn't work and whatever, the match goes south, then your emotion drops tremendously. And I have experienced that before when I started competing, and having that peak and, you know, up and down in emotion throughout a match or throughout a competition or throughout a career is not really beneficial, because you keep coming up and down. And I see him that he goes in a straight line, you know, not necessarily, I mean, he went up, but he goes in a straight line, which there's no emotion, so he gets to a bad position, and a very bad position, and he's still, you know, his face doesn't change at all. And when he gets to an amazing position, still his face doesn't change at all. So I think that's what I learned, the most precious thing I learned from Roger.
I imagine the times, I never cursed, but I imagine the times that I raised my arms and I celebrated a lot, and I found it to be really disrespectful. And because that was the first reason that I stopped doing it, and I mean, trying to be calm. And then I found other reasons just as good, and a lot of reasons to be calmer and not celebrate or complain.
It keeps changing. I mean, every tournament I might do something different. I try to have a ritual that I do before the match, but sometimes I don't do it. It depends how I feel on the day. But it's just a way of dealing with the situation, you know, overall. And sometimes if I'm not doing completely anything, right, physically, sometimes I feel that my body, my mind might wander to places that might not be the, you know, the lightest places. So when I'm doing something and I'm occupied with the body itself, then sometimes my mind goes to, you know, completely focuses on the. I remember on the Worlds on 2021, there wasn't one single moment, I mean, barely, between the matches that I wasn't doing something with my hands and with my body. And just to stay very busy at the present moment and forget about the whole situation. And it worked, but it keeps changing. So maybe I'll do something different. I'll see.
I haven't tried meditation deeply enough, but I think the best way for you to get there or to have a glimpse of it is for you to fight, or for you to do whatever you're supposed to. In your case, what are you doing right now? In my case, what I'm about to do. You know, I think that's the way that you truly meditate.